Good evening, guys, and we'll start with Apache Pig, friends. We started discussing about that. Yesterday, we discussed about Apache Pig, which is the one of the popular tools on Hadoop ecosystem, which helps us data processing. Which helps us with data processing. When I say data processing, there will be multiple things, and Apache Pig was developed by Yahoo, and the primary reason for Yahoo to start with Apache Pig was the ETL task that Yahoo was doing. It was dealing with big data, right? And there was no specific tool which basically allowed them to work with ETL tasks. So they started developing Apache Pig, and later on they gave it to the community. Right, and we also discussed why it is called as pig, because pig can eat anything and live anywhere. So it can consume structured, semi-structured, unstructured data, and it can work on local system or on Hadoop layer. It's called as procedural language, right? It's called as Pig Latin, and the advantage of Apache Pig is that it can handle unstructured data also, and schema is optional here. That schema becomes optional. And whatever the commands that we are writing in Apache Pig, they get internally converted into map and reduce jobs thanks to the components of the Apache Pig server, which parses and compiles the code into map and reduce tasks. And it is very similar to your SQL type of commands. Now, Apache Pig is called as procedural language, which is also known as high-level language. Okay, it's a high-level language. So here we have Pig Latin scripts. This is your code. And when you are interacting, or when you want to get this code executed, you'll use grunt shell. Right? And this grunt shell will basically pass the commands that we are writing to Pig server. And in Pig server, we have parser, which will correct the syntax errors. Then we have optimizer. Then we have compiler. Compiler is basically compiling the codes to high-level programming language that we are writing, right? High-level codes to map and reduce tasks. Right, and this map and reduce tasks get executed on the map reduce framework thanks to the executor in Apache Pig. This is the flow of Apache Pig. And we discussed that Pig can be executed in local, or it can also be executed in the map reduce layer, which basically means the data is lying in local file system. Execution happens using JVM only, but the data that we are going to process is assumed to be a local file system. Hence, we initiate Apache Pig at that level. If my data is large, production level, then the data is lying in HDFS, right? And hence, we have to use map reduce capability to process that huge amount of data. Hence, Apache Pig is started in map reduce mode, not map reduce level, right? These are the execution modes or execution levels. And when we talk about the actual code execution, it can be executed in interactive mode, scripting mode, or embedded mode as well. These are the three different options that your Apache Pig commands can be executed as. Interactive means line by line. Scripting means you write everything in a single script and execute. Embedded means you call this pig function when you are executing some other code. Now, whenever we're trying to execute the commands, the pig operations, the pig operations or the commands can be broadly classified into two types: transformations and actions. Right? Any task that you do, it can be broadly classified into transformation tasks and action tasks. Now, what is the difference between these two? Right? Let's try and understand this. Let's say I'll take you guys to the childhood days. Right, you're basically in India, especially summer holidays, summer vacation, right? For school kids, we generally get vacation in the summer time because it is too hot. So you stay in houses, right? You stay in house and you watch, you don't do anything good. You just watch television, isn't it? Now in your childhood days, if you remember, one of the primary tasks that you have to do in the summer vacations is filling the water bottles. I love to give this example. Right? Hope you can recollect. The one task that is given to kids in the home is filling the water bottles and replacing them in, putting them in the refrigerator, especially in summer times. But what you do, you lazily lie here. There is a couch somewhere here or here. You're going to watch the television. This is the television. And you're just lazily lying here and watching the television. Right? That's what we do. And your mother would be shouting, your parents would be shouting at you to do those things. Right? Can you recollect, everyone? Can you imagine the scene? Yeah. At least in my home, that used to happen when I was young. Right? Yeah. Now, let's imagine a scene, okay? You're watching television, you're just lying there, you're watching television, and somewhere in the kitchen, your mother is cooking something for you, okay? Because you're staying home, she decided to cook something yummy for you. But she needs help, right? She is here in the kitchen, she is working, you're lazily lying here, watching television. She is yelling at you, calling you to help her. What you do? What you do? You acknowledge. Let's say she's asking you to bring something from refrigerator. Let's say there's a refrigerator here. She is here cooking something for you and she's saying, hey, there is something in refrigerator. Why don't you bring it for me? Do you immediately get up and do the task? Never. Yes, Shruti. Okay. I mean, at least guys would never do that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Now what happens? Your mother's tone would increase, right? And after some time, some of the utensils will be flying towards you. Right? So you basically do what? You acknowledge. You're saying, yes, mom, coming. 2 minutes, I'm coming. Let's say your mother is giving tasks, multiple tasks. Task one, she's asking you to pick up something from refrigerator and hand it over to her in kitchen. Hand over in kitchen. Task one. Task two, she's also yelling at it. Because you're not doing the task, she's now started yelling at you, saying that there are water bottles all over the place in the home. right? You have to fill the water bottles and put them in the refrigerator. She's shouting at you. You drink water and put the bottles wherever, right? You just leave them out, fill the water bottles and put it in the refrigerator. Again, what you're saying? Yes, mom, I'm going to do. You acknowledge, right? Fill the bottles and place them in refrigerator. You say yes. You don't do it, right? You don't do it. You just say yes. Then let's imagine there is a task 3. There's a lot of trash, right? And your mother is asking you to clean that trash and put it outside, right? She wants you to help her clean the trash from the kitchen. Again, you say yes. Clean the trash from kitchen. There are 3 different tasks which your mother is assigning to you, right? Now, this is what happens. If you are basically girl child, right, and your mother is asking you, you definitely do it, right? Task 1, you get up, pick up the stuff from refrigerator, hand it over to your mother, come back and sit on the couch, watch the television. Again, she's asking you. So task 1, you go from here to here and then here, and again come back and lie on the couch. Again, she's calling you. Task 2, fill the bottles. So you get up, pick up all the bottles, go to the refrigerator where, let's say this is your water. You fill them and again place it in the refrigerator. Then task 3, clean the trash. So you again, right, after coming here, you again go there, pick the trash, come out. Maybe you're going out and then throwing the trash, coming back, sitting on the couch. Right? So this is what you are going to do, right? If you are a good child. Right? Agreed? Till here, everything is clean. Yeah. Now, if you're a guy, boy child, lazy boy child, what you do? If you're a lazy boy child, you do not do all the stuff. You don't do all the stuff. Right? Your mother has to throw something. She has to leave her work, come out and stare at you and throw something on you. Only then you get up to do the task. Till then, we are only acknowledging. You're saying, yes, mom, I'll do it. 1 minute. Yes, mom, I'll do it. 2 minutes. Yes, mom, 3 minutes or 5 minutes. So you're acknowledging that, yes, I will do it. Right? But you're not doing it. Until unless there is a trigger. Right? Now, what are you doing when you're acknowledging? When task is giving, you're not doing it, but you're acknowledging it, right? What you're doing? If you're lazy, you'll think. If you're too lazy to get up, then you are going to plan on how to do all these things in a very simple way. Isn't it? So there are 3 tasks that I have to do, right? So what you do? No, you are the only one, Arjun. So there's no other option. You have to do it. So in the 3 tasks, you would plan in such a way that you'll do task 2 first. Collect all the water bottles, right? Pick up all the water bottles, fill them and put them in the refrigerator. Take the stuff, whatever the stuff that your mother is asking you to pick up, you pick up that stuff from the refrigerator. When you open the fridge, you don't do it multiple times. When you open the refrigerator, put the bottles back into the refrigerator, take that stuff, hand it over to the, you have to hand it over into the kitchen. And then when you enter the kitchen, you pull out the trash, put it out, and then lazily lie on your couch. So you're not redoing a lot of stuff. Your work is optimized. So what you're doing, when you acknowledge, you're also planning how to do this task in the most simplest and easiest way. Yeah, making sense? Is it making sense, guys? So that is transformation, being lazy. And that is the reason they are called as lazy transactions. Here we are only planning. The actual execution does not happen. Right? So you're acknowledging. There will be n number of tasks that will be given, you are acknowledging. Now, when your mother is coming and throwing something at you, that's when you get up and do the task. Right? So those are action. When you start doing it, that's action. These are called as eager or immediate operations. Right? So when these commands are given in Apache Pig, or for that matter, any of the Hadoop ecosystem tools, they parse the codes. Right? Whatever the commands that we are giving, they are getting parsed. Then the optimization happens. Among all these tasks, what is the best way to do these tasks? So we optimize. And then we convert the code into map jobs and reduce jobs. Right? This is where your map jobs are created and reduce jobs are created automatically in the backend. Right? And then the execution happens. Finally, the execution happens. So when we talk about Apache Pig operations, remember there are lazy transactions where the actual action does not happen. It is only the execution plan which is designed. And when the action operations are initiated, that is when the entire plan gets executed. Till then, only plan is drafted, right? And we generally have something called as DAGs. We'll look into this in the next topic. For now, just understand that these transactions only plan how to do things. For example, you will see this load command, right? You see the load command. Load command is basically like importing. So you have a physical file, data is there in this physical file. You have to load it into Pig memory. You have to basically incorporate or call that data so that you can do some kind of analysis on top of this. So when you say load data from this file into a variable, this is a transformation operation which basically says, okay, when action is executed, when some action is triggered, I need to actually, that is when load the data. Right? Here there will be some action operation. This is a transformation operation. Execution will not happen, but planning is done. There will be multiple transformations, and then we will have action operation. This is when all the sequence of commands are executed. Right? All the commands are executed at this level, this stage. Right? So that's transformations and actions. Is it clear? Transformations and operations. You have to remember your childhood days. All right. Just like any other programming language, Apache Pig also comes up with these default data types. These are simple data types and complex data types. Integer, double, float, character array, byte array, map, tuple, bag. These are all the default data types. And these are some of the examples of how your data can be managed in Apache Pig. Right? This is how we write the syntax. And remember, schema is optional. Right? We are saying in the brackets as schema. So this part is optional. So I'm saying F1 is integer, F2 is also integer, right? So that's the schema definition, which is not required. It's not mandatory, right? Load is like import, store is like export. Okay, store is like writing the output into a physical file. Load is like loading the data from a physical file. Then we have limit command, then we have filter command. So these are generic commands that we have in Pig. Yesterday we were trying to do this comparison also. Pig is a procedural language, SQL is a declarative language. Right? We declare something and the data has to be processed, the query has to be executed. Here, procedural language, we follow a process and try to analyze the data. Schema is optional, whereas here schema is mandatory. Right? Now, optimization is internally happening. Right? We have just discussed. Internally, the code optimization will happen. As a developer, you'll not have much flexibility into basically optimize your code. Okay. Now in SQL, when we talk about, there are a lot of flexibility, right? Query optimization can be done at a very low level and manually by a programmer. Next, Pig can have lazy transactions, whereas SQL are not lazy. That means whenever you type any command in SQL, it has to give output. It is mandatory that it has to give output, right? Whereas Apache Pig, here we have lazy transactions and eager operations, transformations and actions. So when you are executing transformations, there is no need to get some output. In fact, transformation operations don't give you an output. Okay? So this is the comparison of Apache Pig with SQL. Right? So let us try and understand how to deal with Apache Pig in our Linux instance. Okay, let me see if you have downloaded. Yeah, everybody has downloaded Apache Pig, right? What we have to do? In order to install it, first extract it. Either you use star command or this front-end option. We are trying to extract. You close it, you extracted the file. This is your file. I'm replacing this, cutting this and placing it within big data. So all my softwares that I'm going to work with will be there under big data folder only, right? So from downloads folder, the extracted Pig software is moved into this folder where my Hadoop software is also located. Do till here, everyone. Is it done? It's very simple. If you have done parallel or if you're doing it now, please do it immediately and tell me. Done. Wonderful. Okay. Done. Very good. I asked you to download yesterday, Abhishek. Did you do that? Done. Okay. Ah, okay. Okay. Yeah, you can follow the video and probably might want to do it later on. It's very easy. Yeah. Okay. Once this is done, I'll go to terminal now. Okay. I'm at home directory, and in my home directory, we will have bash rc. I'm calling bash rc, opening that file, gedit.bashrc. And here I have to do Apache pig settings. All I do is copy Hadoop this part, paste it here, and change this Hadoop home to pig home. And of course, this also has to be changed. You have to say whatever the pig software that we have downloaded. What is the level? Pig -0 0,17,0. Right? Pig -0,17,0. That's the folder name. Right? Next, we say export path is equal to $path $pig_home/bin. Do this. Only these two, nothing else. In Apache, in your home directory, you're going to open bash rc and add these two lines in your bash rc file. Make sure that the path is correctly given. Pig_home is equals to the pig location, the software that we have installed. Yeah, done. Save the file. If you are done with this, save the file. Only two changes. Save it. They are not done yet. Only two changes, guys. Okay. Save these two, and you know what to do. After making changes to your bash rc file, you have to source the bash rc. Now, why we are doing is the setting that we did, pig_home, it has to take effect. Right? We are saying pig_home. When you say echo $, it has to show you that result. Right? Everyone verify this. What was the last change? Export path. Yes, path is equals to $path : you can say $path then : $pig_home /bin. The other way around.
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm unable to copy that folder into big data folder, sir. When I'm doing that, that is not showing that file, sir.
What file?
This big file, sir. Big folder.
Big folder. Where
Yes,
did
sir.
you download the big software?
Yes, sir.
Do you see something on this lines like this in the screen?
Yes, sir.
Did you extracted that?
Yes, sir. With the archive manager only now.
Yes.
Yes, sir. But I'm not getting later that folder,
So
sir.
that means when you are extracting it, you have
Okay.
chosen a different path. Somewhere you have chosen the path.
Okay.
You have to make sure that the location is correctly given.
Okay.
Cross check this. Where did you extracted it? Right? You can also change the location and all that.
Okay.
Okay? Just check
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Or you might want to use star command. That's if you feel that is better, try use star command and extract it.
Okay, sir. I will do.
Yeah.
Shurit, can you
The
share
same,
the last export command in the chat box, please?
the same command, Shruti. I'm just saying that it has to be in reverse order. Let me just ping you.
Its path is equal to $path_home/bin
Not
colon.
underscore home.
No? Okay, yeah, it's better you send me.
Yeah, I'm just. So what we are saying is, I want to export a value to a variable called path. What all values I want to export? All the values which are currently there. That means $path values. Colon, you're appending pig home also. What you have typed is first I'm assigning pig home and then the all the values, existing values. Now what happens when you do that is the order in which these values are defined. Sometimes when you need system defined values, right? When there is a overlapping, especially with respect to Java settings, there will be overlapping. And if you see, when we did for Java here, let me show you. For Java, we are doing Java home bin $path. That is because the external Java that we are installing, that has to be taken into consideration, not the existing one. Right? So the order matters.
Yeah.
Here, it really does not matter. I want what all values I have first, and then I will add the new values.
Right.
Yeah. That's it, done. If you're done with this, then you're done with your Apache Pig installation. It's not like Hadoop where you change a lot of configuration files and all that. Nothing is required. We are ready now to use Apache Pig commands.
Sir, sir, once shall I share my screen? I'm not getting.
Yeah.
Downloads.
First select what file you want to what file you want to execute. Yeah, that file. Select it.
It is not selecting, sir.
Oh, it is already cancel. There is a cancel button at the top left. Top left.
Okay.
Yeah, cancel it.
Okay.
Cancel this also. Okay. Right click on that. Click on open with archive manager.
Like this is it is coming on there. When I'm copying this one,
Now you just select it and click on extract.
what?
Now
No,
you
it's
select
already-
the file.
Yeah, select the file. Extract.
I did extract.
Now you extract it. Yeah.
Yeah, select
It is not selecting, sir. That's what I'm telling.
at the bottom. It says select all files. Bottom. Select all files. Yeah, then say right top extract. You already extracted, I guess. It's asking for again. Done. You can close. Close this also. You got that. Yeah, bash RC you have done.
No, sir. Need to do this one.
Okay. Okay. So once your bash RC settings are done, and once you are executing, sourcing your bash RC, that means your pig is successfully installed and configured. Apache pig is successfully installed and configured. Now to start Apache pig, we say pig-local, pig-x local. If I just say pig, then it will start my Apache pig on local mode. Sorry, in MapReduce mode, right? Yep. So let us try and execute these commands. I'm just waiting for others also to join. If everyone is ready, then let's proceed. If I say only pig, then by default, pig works on, yeah, this is your session. This is your page. If I say only
Echo,
pig,
what is this echo space $pi command?
that is to cross verify whether the settings that we have done is reflecting or not.
For me, it is empty. It doesn't show anything at the bottom.
That means your environment is not set properly. This echo command basically is talking about the value for this particular variable. Right?
Okay.
In bash RC file, what value you have given to this pig_home variable will be shown.
Yeah, that I can see, but the one on the top which says what is it? $pig_home and $pipe status, that I don't see.
No, those are nothing. Those are not commands. When I was typing these commands, you got this.
Yeah. Okay.
This is
That
the
I can
command.
see. All right.
What happens is I use tab button, right? So it will show me the prompts on what variables are already defined.
Okay.
So when I type pig, by default, pig is started at MapReduce layer. I'm just saying pig, enter. I'll show you what happens. So it's trying to execute in local mode and then MapReduce mode. These are the two options that we have, and it picked MapReduce as the execution type. Right? It is choosing that MapReduce as the execution type. Why? Because I've defined that. Right? So I will come out of this. Quit. Now, rather than pig, I will say pig-x local. Now, this would start my Apache Pig in the local layer, local level. It says trying local and pig local, right? So your Apache Pig basically is started at local level. That means your data that you're going to process, right, using this Apache Pig will be assumed to be at the local layer only. Right? That's the assumption. And here we will have Apache Pig running at local level. Now, before I proceed further to do anything on Apache Pig, let us try and create some data set. Okay, this is given already. Please do that. So I'm going to create two files to do hands-on here. One file which is called as a.txt. I'm creating the data set with tab separated values. Max, tab separated 19. New line, Sam, tab separated 24. Right? So like this, I'm putting tab separated values. This is a.txt. Then I have x.txt. Now in x.txt file, I'm adding similar values, not same mind you, except for Max, other values are different. John is there, but John, small j is there, here uppercase j is there, right? And we have different names. But in x.txt, I'm creating the data with comma separated values. Right? With space, without space, it really does not matter because I'm putting the delimiter as comma. Here we have tab separated. Here we have comma separated. Okay. So these are the two files that I have to create now. Let us create them. So I'll come to my local system here. And then I will say gedit x.txt. Remember, we are saying that our data is on local file system. A.txt to start with. We are not starting Apache Pig on MapReduce mode. I'm starting it in local mode. So my data has to be on local. Remember, I said these values have to be tab separated. So make sure you are putting a tab separation there. Okay, manually we do that. Okay, yeah, save it. Local Lashner. How to start on local? Pig-x.local. I have not started it. I'll do that. Yeah. We are first creating sample data on which we will be working on. Right? So first use gedit to create this data. Then gedit x.txt. So I have created a.txt and I'm creating now x.txt, second file. This is the second file. Again, copy paste the content. Here you don't have to do any real manipulations because it is comma separated value. You can simply save it and close it. Right? A.txt is tab separated values. X.txt is comma separated values. You can create your own random data. That's okay. Or if you feel that no, I want to use the same data, you can just copy paste. So we have created two files, a.txt and x.txt. Right? On the local Linux machine, we are creating that. Now to start Apache Pig in local, we are saying pig-x local. Right? Just say pig-x local. Now you see it is starting in the local mode. Okay, that means I will be able to pass the data directly from the local file system rather than Hadoop.
It says command not found.
What is this?
Cheryl?
I'm just checking here.
Okay. No, for pig space -x space local, that says command not found.
That means you have not sourced your files correctly. That could be the only reason. There's nothing that we do here. It's just copy paste the software in a location and we point it to the path variable. Are you getting a correct folder when you say $pig_home? Is it actually pointing to the right folder that you have created?
Yes, it is.
Then it has to work.
It's not working.
That means you have done something wrong. Share your screen.
No, I haven't done anything wrong. Yeah, sure.
It is wrong.
What is wrong?
When you say echo $pig_home, it is showing Hadoop location. You have to give pig location, right?
Okay. So in that case,
Yeah, gedit -rc. That you have to change, right? From Hadoop, it has to be pig. Yeah.
Is it
Now
correct?
it works. Yeah, now it works. Source. Yeah.
Okay, now.
These softwares are well developed, stable softwares. So unless until we do something like this, it will work without any issues. It's now working fine.
Thank you. So do I need to quit this?
Now you can open another terminal. That's okay. You don't have to quit it. You can just open another terminal and create the files. No,
Okay,
don't close it. Why are you closing it? You leave that as is.
Okay, open another terminal.
You can open n number of terminals, or you can also open tabs also.
But I'm within big data now, so you want me to come?
Independent. Yeah, these terminals are independent of each other. They work independently.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, everyone, are you able to see this? Data sets created. You can use just the same file, copy paste, and make sure the tab is given here, and create these two files, a.txt and x.txt. If you're done, then we'll move on to the next step. This is where our processing starts. We'll start Apache Pig in local mode, and then we have to load the file. We are trying to load a.txt file into a variable called a. So in order to do that, use a load function. You can just copy paste the same command as is, but make sure the path is correctly given. Right? So when you are trying to choose this, be careful with the quotes here and the path. So /home /user to a.txt. That's where I have created my data set. If I want to see that, I will open another terminal. And you can see ls, I have a.txt. If I say pwd, it is /home /user to, right? /home right? Now, once you give the right path, remember the schema is optional. If you don't want to give, don't give it. But if you want to give it, you can copy this and paste it, or you type it. If you feel typing is giving you more confidence, then do that. Now, let me explain this. So function here, if you see, load function loads the data from a physical file system. Syntax is load the data, the path, using function. There is a big function that you have to use, and then schema, as schema, right? So here we are saying load this file using pig storage /t. /t basically means what? What is /t represents? Anyone? What does /t represents? No, I'm talking about this /t. Yes, it talks about tab separation, right? Tab space. If I say /n, this represents for new line. Exactly. This is tab separated or new tab, and this is new line. Similarly, we have various other formats that we can use. So I'm using /t only for a.txt. And then I have two columns, right? I'm saying one is character array, the other one is the integer. In a.txt, these are the two things. Executed. Now remember, load function is transformation. It is a transformation operation. So it only executes the command and defines a plan on how to execute that when actual action is triggered. So that means right now, A will not have any data. We have not loaded the data into A, right? Now there is a function called dump, D-U-M-P. Dump is like print, right? I want to see what is the content in A, right? For dump command, semicolon is not mandatory, but even if I give it works, even if I don't give it works. Dump A is like print A. Now look at what all things it is doing, Apache Pig. So much calculation is being done and it takes so much time. Yeah, at last it loaded. So this is the content of the file a.txt. Right? Though it is tab separated, when it is loaded, it is by default taking comma separated as print. So what all things happened actually when I executed pig is, when I executed the pig command, where is this? Oh, I missed the starter. Somewhere I missed it. Fine. So what is happening here is when I executed dump A, I had to print the output of A, but A value is defined here. What is this value? This value has to load the content of a physical file a.txt using the syntax. So this entire process is now getting executed. So transformation, action. This is action. So we will get map reduce tasks. In the back end, it is using map reduce tasks to do the loading of the data. Right? You can carefully read line by line. It is basically reading the content here. You can see map reduce framework, map input records 4, output records 4, input split bytes so many. So all that right information is being shared, and we are reading the 4 records from this file. That's your input, and output is we are storing it temporarily here. Right, and this is from where we are seeing the data. So much of stuff happens when you trigger an action operation. Right, so here I'm going to change this to x.txt now. But for x.txt, the delimiter is not /t, rather the delimiter is comma. Right, so we are passing comma here. x.txt. I loaded this. Right, now I'm not doing dump x. I don't want dump x to be done here. Okay, we will wait. So Apache Pig operations are handled in these two forms, right? Actions and transformations, or vice versa. Transformations first and then actions. So there are multiple transformation operations that we execute. So you do multiple transformations, and the action is triggered when you want to see the output that or store the output. When action operation is executed, that's when the actual execution kickstarts. Right? So let us follow this. So we have loaded A, I have loaded X. Now I'm doing join. Join A by name, X by name. Do you remember joins? Are you familiar with joins, guys? Yes, SQL. So if I have two tables, if I call it as A and B, then I have to join these relational databases tables, related tables. Right? So I'm saying join A by name, X by name. This is inner join. Right? This is inner join. That means in both the tables, whatever is common, we consider that. That too common from A perspective. First you take A and then keep comparing it with B, and wherever there is a similarity, you couple them, right? You merge them and ping them. So join A by name, X by name. So I'm calling it as AX. I can give any name. I don't have to give uppercase letters for variables. I'm using this keyword join, saying join A by name, X by name. Right? That's your command. A by name, X by name. When you execute this, we get nothing. Why? Again, join is a transformation operation. Now, if I say dump AX, then this is the action, right? It is triggering now. What all things it do? it has to join two tables, but the tables have to be first defined. Those tables are defined here, right? A is already loaded, but X is not loaded. So first we will load A, then X, and then try to join and then store the value into AX. So dump AX. Done. So if you see here, the output is only this. So it is successfully reading 4 records from this file, 5 records from this file, and stored 1 record in the temporary location. Right? You can see it is comparing like this. Only 1 record it is common, everything becomes NA. Right? So this is your map and reduce task, which basically give us record. That's your dump AX. We can also do outer join, left outer join, or right outer join. We can do that. So if I pass join A by name, comma X by name, by default it is inner join. But if I say left outer in between here, then it is left outer join that happens. So I'll say AX1 is equals to join A by name, left outer X by name. It's like English, right? It's more like an English commands that we are giving. We are not writing low-level programming here. Right? Join A by name, left outer X by name, and then I execute. It doesn't give me anything. I'll say dump AX1. Executed. It has recorded 4 files now. Reading 4 records from A and then comparing these 4 records with 5 records in the X. And we are saying left outer, right? So record your left table first and then see what all values you can map onto your this table from the comparison. This is your left outer. You can experiment, guys. Try and do other joins as well. I can also split my data here. Split A into small if number, remember we have 2 values in our data set, right? A, it has name and number. If my number column, the value, if it is less than 20, then I will call it as small. If the number is greater than or equal to 20, I'll put it into big. Right? Simple command, split A. Split A. I'm taking number less than 20. So I'll say split A into, I'll say S1, right? Where number is less than 20, comma, S2 if number is greater than or equal to 20, right? So that's basically your conditions. Okay, sorry, I have to put if condition. If S2, if yes. Okay, let me cross check the syntax. Split A into small if number is 20, less than 20. split A into S1 if number is less than 20, comma, S2 if number is greater than or equal to 20. Yes, S2 it is number is greater than or equal to 20. Done. Now, if I say dump S1 from a.txt, from this a.txt, it has to print it has to print 3 records because this is less than 20, this is less than 20, this is also less than 20, right? So it has to record return 3 records. Yes. Yes, Ashna, go ahead.
Sir, for this one, because I'm not sure, we didn't declare any integer or float, unlike the SQL. I just want to ask, for example, we made it, for example, 15.5, 15.4. Will it identify it as, okay. Okay. I didn't
We are
notice that one.
defining. We are
Okay.
defining. But this is optional, Ashna. As we said, this is optional.
The schema. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Schema is optional. Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sorry.
No problem. No problem. Dump S2 will give me 1 record. Internally, remember these high-level English-like commands are being executed in map and reduce framework mode. Okay, it is converted into map reduce only. Look at that. Next, we have inner join. We have outer join, right? We have inner join. Now we also have something called as co-group. See what does this co-group does? Okay, so let's try out. We'll say AX is equals to, or you can say C group is equals to, that is co-group is equals to, or co-group is equals to. You use the co-group function. Co-group A by name, X by name, or X by name, A by name, your wish. Co-group A by name, comma, X by name. Now, when I say dump co-group, this is going to basically combine the entire data set. 4 records and 5 records that we have respectively in A and X are getting merged with respect to name. So all the unique records will be returned. First 4 records will be A. You can see here 4 records are ready, 5 records are ready. The return is 8 records. It has to be 9, isn't it? It has to be 9. But it is only 8 records. That is because we have one value which is repeated. Max. So in tan, when you see, tan is there in X, it is not there in A. Max is there in both. Then Sam is there in A, it's not there in X. Alex is there in X, not in A. John also. This John with lower J, it's there in A, not in X. So on and so forth. Right? So this is called as co-group. Co-group result. Then we have something called as flatten. Flatten is basically reading this content as a single, or it's flattening basically, unlisting. This is like a list, series, right? It basically reads one data at a time. So here I have let's say AX is equals to any name. For each, there is a keyword called for each, right? Now this for each basically is reading each of this co-group. For each co-group, generate flattened dollar value, right? So co-group for each on co-group basically means for each record in this particular output, co-group output. For each co-group, generate flatten, right? Flatten, and then you put index. Now index starts from 0. So here in this output, tan, comma, open and close flower bracket, then I have another bracket here, or I should say, so this tan is in 0 index, this is in 1 index, this is in index 2. So I'm going to see, let's say index 0, $0. Then you say dump AX. It has to print all these names: Tan, Max, Sam, Alex, John, George, Philip. See, all the names are printed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 rows are there, so it is printing all the 8. If I remove this 0 and put 1, then it is going to look at the second column. So it will give you the names and empty cells also. Yep. So Max, Sam, John, and George. That's the output that we have in here. Max, Sam, John, and George. 4 records. Right? So co-grouping and then looking at one column at a time using this flatten command, and for each basically says for each record you want to apply that command. Now this is the last command or last step. Basically we are trying to do a lot of things in this one application where I'm trying to capture words, word count application. So first I have to read the data which has some kind of a text data, right? Words. So what I'll do, I'll look into another terminal here and let me see if I can have some content. So it's a gedit hdp.txt. Okay, so I'll remove all this data, not required. Okay, and I'm removing all this. Some text content, guys. You can put any text content that you have. Okay. Right. I'm saving it. You can take extra lines out. I'm putting spaces some location at some location specifically. This is my data, right? Save it. Any random data, you can take any random data, okay? Save it, and we will use this file as input for our word count application. Now, when I'm reading the data, I'm using pic storage /n. Right? There are multiple lines that I'm trying to load. So each line is treated as a separate entry. Right? And I'm calling that entry as lines. So the column name is line. And within the lines, you'll have multiple, within that column, you'll have multiple lines. Right? So let us execute that. So load, you can take f is equals to file is equals to load slash the location /home/user2 /hdp.txt using pic storage /n as you can say line character array. That is anyways, this is optional. Even if you don't give, that's okay. The schema that you're talking about, even if you don't give, that's okay. Right? So I'm saying load the data set using pic storage /n as this. Execute it. Now, just to see what we have loaded, you will say dump f. See what it does actually loading. Pic can be executed in interactive mode, right? We are doing that. Line by line, we are executing, and this is my entire data. Hadoop multi-node cluster setup. This is one line. etc space /etc all nodes. This is one line. This is another line. This is so we have multiple lines like this, right? That's what we have done here. Each line is handled. It's a character array data, and your first file will do that. Then we have a function called tokenizing. Tokenizing means you are splitting the data into words. You are tokenizing. How? By space delimiter. You are tokenizing by space delimiter. For this file, for each means take each line, each record, and then generate these tokens. And you're reading those tokens as word. Collection of all those words, you're calling it as words. Right? So I'll say words is equals to for each L, because I have given L here, the previous command. For each line, we want to tokenize for each L, tokenize, or sorry, generate tokenize. Tokenize using what? Space delimiter. Right? You can see it is space delimiter. L comma as word. Oh, F, sorry, not L, my bad. So this is file. As a line, okay. It has to be line. For each line here in this file, you want to tokenize. Ah, again, I'm doing a mistake. This is F. So rather than changing the names and all that, you might want to first try with whatever is given here, right? So that you will not make mistakes like me. You might want to try and do first with whatever is given, then you expel. So I've captured each word separately. Let me do this. Dump words. So here, if you see, in each line, wherever there is a space, it is reading that as separate word, right? For this reason, I have wantedly kept the space in some locations, right? Once we have the words, right? In each line, I'm splitting these words, right? I'm recognizing each words. Now I'm flattening these words. That means rather than treating them as words in single line, take each word separately, right? So rather than typing, rather than putting the effort in typing, I'll just copy paste. Again, for each command is used, and here I'm using flattening command, flatten command. This output is words, right? For each line here in words, each record in words, we want to flatten and capture word. This is one word, and reading them as first flat word. Combination of all those flat words, I'm collecting them and calling it as flat words. So dump flat words. When you do that, (42) words are being captured, right? So we are taking each word separately now. Initially it was in one line, now it is separated. Each line, each word is a separate line now, right? Now once we have keywords, then I'm trying to group these keywords. So I'm grouping these keywords. Take all these flat words, group these flat words by flat word, right? Yeah, Ashna? It's like SQL. Yeah, look at that. We are trying to group, right? So hash, there was only one hash. But for this hyphen, it is repeated thrice. A is repeated once, if is there once, all. Slash etc is repeated twice. File is repeated twice. Rest of all the words are repeated only once. Right? So this is the entry that we have for your grouped words. Now on these grouped words, I'm trying to count. For each group words, generate group and then count the flat words. How many flat words are there? You are counting them. Count the words. We tokenized, then we merged similar words, and then we are counting them. How many times each word is repeated? So one time, all these are one. etc is repeated twice. File is repeated twice. Hyphen is repeated thrice. So we are able to count the words. Now, if I say dump, it is printing the output here. But what if I want to store? I want to store this entire output that we have here into a folder called word count output. Okay. What does that do is it creates this folder now. Yeah, and you can see it says successfully executed and created this folder word count output. And in this folder you'll have two files. One is the data file, the other one is the confirmations. Underscore success will not have anything. It's an empty file. It's just a file to tell that the command is successful, right? And then here we can check the file content. This file content is what we have seen when you said dump, right? So this is how we can create word count. You can also add and all that. You can do that. Now this is in the interactive mode, line by line if I have to do it. Right? This is for ordering the output based on the name or based on the number. $1 means number. Now, how about executing everything as a script? Remember, it can also be executed as a script. Right? So if I have to execute everything as a script, first I need to have a script. I need to create a script. So the script is given here. File is equals to load $input. If you want to hard code the file, then you can say file name directly there, right? After load, you put the file name. But $input basically means you are passing that $input as a variable, right? And whatever the value that input will take, that would be executed, or that file would be considered here. Using new line character, we are reading each line separately. Then tokenizing, for each you're flattening that words, then you're grouping, and then finally you're counting. Right? And you're printing also. So I will save all this. From there to here, copy. And let us create a file. Let us quit this. I don't need pig, right? I don't need pig to do that. So here I am going to say gedit pig script, or I'll say pig word count dot pig, and then save it. But make sure here the arguments are correctly given. Okay, slash or quotation, these are all keywords, right? So you have to give the right keywords, especially the quotes. Okay, so this purple color should be, the pink color should be there when you're giving the right syntax. For a variable, it will be pink. So I'm saving it. Right? Done. Close it. Now you see you have a pig script. Let me remove those. Files. Yeah, I see only pig word count file. And let's say this is the input. Right? So in order to execute this script, we use the below function. Pig-x local and then you say -p input, input file, then -p output, output file, and then the script, right? Dollar input, dollar output basically means we are passing variables. So pig -x local -p parameter file /home/user2. This is input http.txt /p /home/user2/ the file name I forgot, pig word count.py. And now what is the file I'm executing is user2, and then you'll have the file name, pig file name. Oh, this is output, right? My bad. That's the folder name. This is the script. So this is the file that I'm executing, /home/user2 pig word count, right? So I have to say this is input parameter, this is output parameter, and okay, equal to symbol should be there to pass those parameters. So let us pass it here. I'll say input is equal to and -p output equal to, right? So this is how we execute. So from Linux terminal, I'm going to initiate pig on the local mode, then execute the script wherein the input variable is pointing to this file and output is pointing to a folder. If you see, do we have this folder in our home directory? Yeah, if you see, word count folder is not there. You have word count output, but this folder name is not there. When I execute it here, it will get created here. Okay, it will take time to get executed, but it will create that file here. So whatever we have done with respect to word count manually, that entire stuff is now executed at one go, and the output is getting stored into a folder. If you see here, now you got word count. You can open that and check. So success is there, right? So this way we can execute the pig script in execution mode by passing parameters. If it is in MapReduce framework, then all you're doing is pig. You're not saying -x local, right? And remember, the path of your input and output that you're trying to give should be on HDFS only, right? The execution of the file can happen from the local, right? That's the difference between the manual execution and script execution. And within the script execution, we'll have multiple variants. This is one variant where we can use parameter file, right? We're adding a parameter file, input, output. This is your input file on your HDFS. So we have to create this parameter file and define input as the folder, the file name where You're storing it on HDFS. Output is a location where the output can be printed. Then we have execute command. Pig-x local. Just like what we have done in the previous case. But here we are passing -m, which is for a parameter file. So we'll create a parameter file where you are defining input and output, and that parameter file has to be pointed here. Right? Rather than doing multiple parameters, -p, input, -p output, you just say one parameter file. These are multiple ways to execute your code. Right. Now, how many of you have done till here manual way? No. Try now. Every command, try to visualize what it is doing. So you will type dump. Okay, after every line, say dump of the output. Okay, that's to see the output. Yeah, Ashner, yes, go ahead.
Hello, sir. Can I ask what is the main difference for this one? I'm sorry, the question is wrong. What is the main purpose of this? Because usually we use the SQL for storing the data and getting the data from the SQL, and we also have NoSQL that almost the same. Where does this pig stands on those query language?
SQL, you need to have a SQL programmer, right? For that.
Yeah.
This is more
because
like
I cannot see the whole picture in where we use pig actually. That's the thing that I want to ask.
This is for ETL type transactions, Ashner.
Okay.
So SQL, we are doing it for certain cases. Pig is something that Yahoo has come up with. Different softwares, different needs and all that. This is for ETL.
Okay.
It's just like how we have so many other softwares, right? Just like that, we have one software which is developed by Yahoo.
Okay, sir. I thought it's okay. I understand now.
Yeah. But because it is one of those first softwares which is there on Hadoop, these are more popular. And yeah, remember, this is not a database. Okay, SQL works with database. Here we are not talking about database. Data is there on HDFS.
Oh, so this is not a database.
This is not a database. It's like SQL query language. RDBMS software is the database.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Here,
I get the point.
Hadoop, HDFS is the storage space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So please practice this. We'll stop it here for the day. And make sure you're running these commands to get hands-on with Apache Pig. Okay. Again, this is not too much, but this is at a high level, base level that we are trying to understand Apache Pig. Okay. It is used for data pre-processing, ETL tasks. Remember that. Yes, George.
Sir, when I was practicing the yesterday's commands, I'm unable to open that graphical user interface for that FSCK command, sir.
Graphical interface.
Yesterday's command, sir.
What is that
Hadoop
graphic?
Sir, you have shown that user interface. We have created files and removed some files also in that user interface, no, sir. We have copied some HTTP colon, that means
Okay, 5070, yeah.
FS, yes, sir. I'm not getting it.
What is the URL that you typed?
No, sir. I'm when I type that command FSCK, I'm not getting. It is
It is
showing
not
that no.
FSCK command. No,
Sir.
no. It has nothing to do with FSCK command.
Okay.
You can directly come up with that URL. Let me say,
Okay.
I'll open my Firefox and
Okay.
I'll say http:// my host name colon 50,070.
7.
50,070. It has nothing to do with your commands.
Okay.
Under utilities, you'll have those browse file options that I have used.
Okay. That means that path that you have shown me in one of the command results, no, sir.
It might show you some result when you're executing some command. I don't remember where that command is. Hadoop FS, is it for FSCK?
Sir.
Is it for FSCK?
Yes, sir.
command you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
What's the command? I forgot.
Hadoop FSCK.
Yeah. Okay, slash. You're talking about this.
Yes, sir. But when I type this Hadoop FSCK / means I'm not getting this one also, sir. Some error it is showing.
Okay, show me.
Okay, sir. When I okay, I will do and share.
Share your screen.
Okay, sir.
Be on mute.
Coaching.
Be on mute.
In this, can I, sir?
Yeah, type in. Just type in Hadoop FSCK or HDFS FSCK /.
Both I tried, but
Without space, with space,
sir.
with space.
Okay.
Is your Hadoop up and running?
Sir?
Is your Hadoop running?
Yes, sir.
No, it is not running. Say
Duplication.
JPS. Say JPS.
Sir. Okay, sir. First, need to start that DFS and YARN services, sir.
Yes. How can you access the service without they are being up and running?
Yes, sir.
Just start them and then do this. You will be getting the link.
Okay, sir. I will do again, sir.
All.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure. All right, so that's basically about your Apache Pig, guys. And tomorrow's class, we are going to learn about Apache Hive. Hive is nothing but SQL on Hadoop. So if you are familiar with SQL commands, then you are not learning something new. You already know SQL, right? So you'll be learning Hive also. But for installation step, there are a couple of things that we have to do for Hive. So we will do that. And I'll show you the download tomorrow itself. Anyways, we'll have to discuss about Hive theory, right? So we'll start with Hive download and then we'll start with the theory. Okay, practice pig commands till tomorrow's class, right? Right. So that's it for the today's session. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Good night.